The video I made in 2016 has proven to be pretty accurate. Sure, at the time THQ Nordic had no contract with Nickelodeon, and this past year there wasn't really that much Nickelodeon news for me to talk about, which is why I haven't made a video on it, but Activision have now officially lost the license to SpongeBob SquarePants, and any other Nickelodeon properties they have, I suppose, and THQ Nordic has finally come in to save the day. They have seen all of our messages asking them to remaster Battle for Bikini Bottom. They know that there is a market for it, and so does Nickelodeon. Now, let's analyze and articulate what THQ Nordic have actually said on the matter. As you all know, there are multiple articles and reports on this topic, but we'll take a look at the original source. On Twitter, THQ Nordic have announced their partnership with Nickelodeon, along with a link to their website discussing it. The article is titled, THQ Nordic and Nickelodeon bring back selected game titles from the past, followed by SpongeBob SquarePants, THQ, and many other gaming hits will celebrate their comeback on 2018 and beyond. Wow. Remember when I talked about them bringing THQ back in my last update? I didn't actually believe they would do it. This is just amazing. God bless. THQ Nordic and Nickelodeon today announced the global revival of several game titles connected with Nickelodeon properties. Yeah, I know, I'm a week late, but well, what can you do? The full list of game titles are Avatar: The Last Airbender, Back at the Barnyard, Cat Scratch, Danny Phantom, El Tigre, Invader Zim, Jimmy Neutron, My Life as a Teenage Robot, oh my god, Rocket Power, Rocko's Modern Life, Rugrats, SpongeBob SquarePants, THQ and the Power of Juju, The Fairly OddParents, US Only, I'll talk about what that means later, The Ren and Stimpy Show, and The Wild Thornberrys. Avatar: The Last Airbender actually had 3 games back in the day. One of them has an original storyline and is an RPG beat-em-up type game, while the other 2 are rushed tie-ins for the 2nd and 3rd seasons, one of which is actually known as having the easiest achievements on Xbox 360. Honestly, I wouldn't expect too much with these. To a degree, they are faithful, but I recommend judging these for yourself. Now, Back at the Barnyard is the name of the TV show that came after the Barnyard movie, you know, kinda like Jimmy Neutron. But THQ Nordic owning this property might just mean that they're able to re-release the Barnyard movie game. This game is basically an open-world sandbox game with plenty of content in it. Definitely a fan favorite, and it would be an honor to see this return, even if the show and the movie are kind of irrelevant at this point. Cat Scratch is a canceled Nickelodeon show with only 1 season that came on while I was little. It doesn't have a video game, so they probably mentioned this because it's probably referenced in one of the Nicktoons games, though I'm not 100% sure on that since I haven't played all the Nicktoons games. Or maybe they'll be added as playable characters, we don't know yet, we'll have to see with this one. Danny Phantom only has a few handheld games on the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, but they're likely referring to his prominent appearance in Nicktoons games. I've always wanted Danny Phantom to have his own game, but since the show is cancelled, that's probably not gonna happen, now. El Tigre is a Nick show from like 2007. It had a side-scrolling platformer on the PS2, which may be coming back. So I guess that's why it's on the list. That game is incredibly basic and it's way too short, but I remember the gameplay being just okay the last time I played it like 2 years ago, but I haven't played it recently, so we'll move on from that. Invader Zim was a Nick show from the early 2000s that didn't last long regardless of its quality. There could be a few reasons why he's on this list. It may be referring to his playability in Globs of Doom, which means that game may be getting remastered. It could also be referring to a potential movie tie-in to the new Invader Zim TV movie coming out. What do you guys think? Jimmy Neutron is a playable character in several of the Nicktoons games, so this could have multiple meanings. There are 3 Jimmy Neutron console games, the one based off the first movie, along with the TV movies Jet Fusion and Attack of the Twonkies. Now I just want to come out and say this, the first Jimmy Neutron game is complete and utter garbage, and I really hope that isn't the focus of Jimmy being on the list. It's made by the same people who made Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, and it's a complete joke honestly, it looks like a damn Nintendo 64 game. I really hope Attack of the Twonkies returns instead of this, because honestly, if I had to pick a Jimmy Neutron game that's the most loyal to its source material, it's this one. My Life as a Teenage Robot was another dope show I watched as a kid. She also didn't manage to get her own console game back in the day, so her being in this list could be referencing her playability in Attack of the Toybots. Nice. Rocket Power is another childhood memory. It actually spawned a couple of games back in the day. We have Team Rocket Rescue on PS1, Rocket Power Getting Air on Game Boy Color, Dream Scheme, and Zero Gravity Zone on Game Boy Advance. And the only one I played as of this video is Beach Bandits. There's also a cancel game, but that likely won't see the light of day, so I'll move on from that. Some of you guys probably have fond memories of Team Rocket Rescue. Regardless of the shitty animations, ugly character models, and some weird game mechanics, Rocket Power Beach Bandits really has a lot of content for what it is, and it has an original story, so I would definitely pick this one over any of the ones that are on PS1 and the other platforms. Though I haven't played this game in a while, so take that with a grain of salt. Rocko's Modern Life apparently had a game on the SNES called Spunky's Dangerous Day, but what if his appearance in this list is referencing the new Rocko's Modern Life movie having a tie-in game? I guess we'll see what it means. Next, we have the Nickelodeon classic Rugrats. Rugrats, as you all know, was an extremely popular cartoon back in the day before SpongeBob came along to steal its thunder, and many of its appearances were in Nicktoons games, so this could be referencing a Nicktoons remaster or some of its original games. In terms of console games, we had Search for Reptar, Studio Tour, Scavenger Hunt, Totally Angelica, Rugrats in Paris, and Rugrats Royal Ransom. If I had to pick one, I'd say Rugrats Royal Ransom, a 3D platformer made by the creators of THQ, would be an excellent choice, and I would be disappointed if it doesn't return. Believe it or not, it's actually a decent game. SpongeBob SquarePants is the big boy out of this entire list. SpongeBob is a mainstream cartoon and has countless video games based off himself. There are 2 games in particular that sold the most copies and are the most beloved by SpongeBob fans, and that's Battle for Bikini Bottom and the movie game. Sure, they aren't the most amazing games in the world, but they are an absolute blast to play, regardless if you're a fan of the show or if you're a fan of 3D platformers. And the most popular and well-made one is Battle for Bikini Bottom. We've been pushing this game for so long, and THQ Nordic has been receiving countless requests to bring this game back. So without a single doubt on my mind, I'd say this game is returning. Because why wouldn't they bring it back at this point? I mean, everybody's asking for it. But another thing I like to mention about this is that there are some other beloved SpongeBob games as well, you know, like Lights Camera Pants and Creature from the Krusty Krab. But if I had to choose between those two, Lights Camera Pants deserves it more. Imagine Lights Camera Pants returning with online functionality. That would be amazing. Imagine playing online with all those fun mini games. The 3 games that deserve the most attention are Battle for Bikini Bottom, the movie game, and Lights Camera Pants hands down. Now, I know a lot of you have memories with Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, but you know, spoiler alert, I would say Revenge of the Flying Dutchman can stay in the past where it belongs, because that game is honestly way worse than you remember it. I'm just gonna say that right now. The movie game being a movie tie-in hasn't stopped it from being re-released in the past, such as the Happy Squared pack or a poor emulation that was once on the PlayStation Store, and it's also the best-selling SpongeBob game and was the most liked by critics, so I don't doubt the movie game will also come back with Battle for Bikini Bottom. You know, the rest are maybes, but I'd say forget Dutchman. You don't have to bring that one back. Fuck that game. You know, there was once an IP licensed by Nickelodeon that had its own video game franchise before it had a TV show, and that's THQ and the Power of Juju. THQ had 3 games made by Avalanche Software in the early to mid 2000s. They were all unique 3D platformers, the first being open world, second being linear with improved gameplay, and the third being something new and fresh. THQ received a TV show in 2007 along with 2 games that had nothing to do with Avalanche in 2008. It was completely different from the trilogy and it basically killed THQ. And now there are people out there that only remember him as a bad TV show. Well, some good news. Avalanche Software is no longer closed down. A year after they were closed down, they were bought by Warner Brothers, so they're back. So it's possible for another THQ game, but you know, I'm not going to make any assumptions. THQ was also a playable character in both Attack of the Toybots and Globs of Doom. More evidence of those games being remastered. Although I think some of THQ's original games will be coming back as well. Hopefully the whole trilogy and not just the first game, or just the second like the emulation that was on the PSN store years ago. Though if I had to pick one, I wouldn't mind THQ 2 at all. I didn't really play a lot of THQ as a kid, but after trying them out, I definitely value a remaster. The Fairly OddParents is another popular Nicktoon from the early 2000s that also had plenty of appearances in the Nicktoons games. It also spawned a few video games in its early years, most notably 2 console 3D platformers known as Breaking the Rules and Shadow Showdown. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me to review those actually. Now notice how the list says US only. You're probably wondering why it says that. Well, Breaking the Rules was only released in North America, which is a sign that this game will be returning, pretty much definitely I guess. The sequel Shadow Showdown, however, wasn't just released in the US, so it kind of implies that, you know, we won't even know if Shadow Showdown is going to come back with it. It might just be Breaking the Rules. But I really hope Shadow Showdown can return as well, since, you know, it improves over Breaking the Rules in every single way. I'll say this though, if Breaking the Rules does get remastered, I have to ask them to please fix the audio quality for the dialogue. I mean seriously, that shit is so bad. That might not even get fixed, but we'll certainly see what happens with it. Next up, the Ren and Stimpy show. Stimpy was actually a playable character in Attack of the Toybots, so this is another hint of Attack of the Toybots getting remastered. Ren and Stimpy also had some games available on the Super Nintendo and Game Gear, but I doubt we will see those return honestly. I think this is more evidence of Attack of the Toybots returning. And last but certainly not least, an old Nicktoon, The Wild Thornberrys. Talk about a throwback. I believe this series only had one game on the GBA. Eliza and Darwin are however playable in Nicktoons Racing, but since Hey Arnold and Cat Dog aren't on this list, I'm not really sure why The Wild Thornberrys is on this list. I'm certainly not complaining though. The Wild Thornberrys being on here is honestly a head scratcher, but it's not like we can't get new Nicktoons games in the future with some of these characters from these canceled shows. I may have been wrong about that in the past, because I said, I don't want Nicktoons games to come back, the shows are no longer on Nickelodeon, blah, 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 and I want one with just the new characters. But if they're going to bring back the old characters and have new characters, I would say a new Nicktoons game would be fine. Okay, I'm just going to update you on that. I mean, I had a lot of doubt for Nicktoons, but I guess I was wrong. And maybe that's the real reason why shows like this are on the list, but, we'll find that out. Anyway, that was my analysis of the list. Below the list, the article states, on-shelf availability should be announced in the coming months. This basically confirms that these Nickelodeon games will be available at retailers and physical copies will be produced. This is excellent news because it means we won't just be receiving digital downloads running off an emulator, we will actually have genuine re-releases. Now it's unclear if these releases will be separate individual copies or a part of a collection with them all bundled together. I know some people have been asking me about that. The biggest question you probably have is whether it'll be remade from the ground up like Insane Trilogy, which is more expensive, or they will be remastered with the older graphics just with better textures, effects, and higher resolutions. Some of you probably are wondering if they will just be re-released with no changes at all in standard definition. Yeah, that'd be fucking bad. Well, I'm sure they won't release these games completely unchanged. I think our best bet is regular remasters with the older graphics enhanced. I don't see them remaking all of these games, but re-releasing them all in 1080p and or higher with trophies and achievements is likely the case. I would love all these games to look amazing when they return, since that will sell even more to today's kids, considering the games in question are from a much older generation from what kids today are used to, even though it'll cost more. It's unclear what platforms exactly these games are releasing on, and it's also unclear that if these games are getting remastered or remade, then who will the developer be? THQ Nordic is just a publisher. Let me know what you guys think about this. Okay, moving on. Let's read what Nickelodeon had to say. The appetite for Nickelodeon content, old and new, continues to grow, and it's exciting to bring our beloved content to new audiences through this partnership with THQ Nordic, said John Roman, Senior Vice President, Toys Nickelodeon. These titles were popular when they were released, and we can't wait for fans around the world to rediscover their favorites. Alright, let's read what THQ Nordic had to say. This one hits close to home. We are very proud of signing this agreement, which was originally executed by the former THQ Incorporated. Comments, Adrian Lore, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry if I butcher your name. VP Digital Sales and Business Development Americas at THQ Nordic. We believe the combination of strong licenses and solid, crisp gameplay was one of THQ Incorporated's trademark strategies, and we intend to continue this tradition. I am confident we chose one of the strongest partners for doing just that. It is a perfect fit for our asset care strategy, bringing back fan favorites, continuing to support legacy games, and make them available on current and even next-gen platforms. So what does all of this mean? It means that Nickelodeon and THQ Nordic have been convinced that there is a market for Nickelodeon games. THQ Nordic is willing to bring these games back to modern platforms as well as new consoles in the future. THQ Nordic have heard our cries for help. They have seen how passionate we are about these games. In an effort to further re-establish THQ's legacy, they have decided to make a deal with Nickelodeon. New generation kids will be able to discover good licensed games, while we will be able to play them without depending on older hardware. Apparently, we will also be receiving a video game based on the Loud House as well. Nick games are back. We did this together. This is a victory we shall never forget. THQ Nordic, thank you. You guys already gave me a positive impression when you put Destroy Humans 1 and 2 on the PlayStation Store, but this decision right here is something I am most grateful for. This is a gift. This is a gift to all the gamers that haven't been able to play these games for years. This is a gift to all the people in your mentions begging for a Battle for Bikini Bottom remaster on Twitter. This is a gift for people that are not able to play these games without seeing low resolution graphics from being upscaled from 480i. This is a gift to all the kids that haven't experienced any of these games. I appreciate you as a company, and we need more publishers like you. Publishers that actually acknowledge the consumer. I give you my greatest gift of gratitude, and I will continue to support THQ Nordic. Have a good one.